You're going to find it's in the mid-50s all the way throughout the cave. Some places will be real warm, some places just like here. But it's nasty outside, and it's pretty much the same temperature inside today. The original tour went that way. We're going to go opposite the way they did. Now, when you get here, at this point, it doesn't matter, past or present, the same thing is thought about this. Scientifically, I got a stalagmite growing upward, a stalactite growing down. Should the two join, it's a column. They form because I got some dripping water here that has the limestone in it. And that limestone will build up over these two, okay? Dripstone. Over here, the water comes off of the cave wall, not from the ceiling. It flows off the cave wall. We call it flowstone. And the thing is, look at this surface right here. See how bright and shiny and smooth? And compare it to that. That's dull, kind of lumpy. That's because people touched and handled. Well, remember, they walked over these things. This was the walkway. They didn't have this when we first came in. And if you come back towards you, you see this is kind of dull. And look at this one. It's rough, irregular, it's tan. And we know exactly what happened there. Here, the guides had everybody rub this. Because what it did, there was a rabbit's foot. It gave them good luck. If they rubbed that, then they weren't going to fall in the back of the cave. Well, if enough people over time touch the same area, then this is what happens. That's why the rock appears that way. It doesn't happen fast. It happens slowly. But once it doesn't recover either. 1 inch of growth in our cave, 300 to 500 years is required. Okay? And here, you can see all of these stalactites are cut off. The first cave owner allowed people to take souvenirs because they thought they were going to grow back. They didn't realize how much time was involved. Okay? All right. Now, at one point, the water that's here, in some of these areas you can see is dry, and some of these areas are never going to be wet, so it's never going to grow, or it's not going to be symmetrical. This always had something to do with ice cream. And they always name things after what they were familiar with. To them, it was a plate of ice cream. To us, it's an upside-down ice cream cone. All right. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know your ice cream? You know your flavors? If the ice cream is white in color, what's the flavor? And that's calcite. That's the major mineral that makes up the cave. If the ice cream is brown, what's the flavor? Rust and iron oxide. But I do see some patches of green, like here. If it's green, maybe you don't want to eat it. But if it's green and it's ice cream, what's the flavor? Pistachio. Anybody else? Okay. A lot of times we can kind of like separate the mature from the young, but the pistachio answer. But you know what? I'm the guiltiest person here when I tell you the green is from plants, algae and mosses. The spores are on you. We bring them in, and when they get close to where there's light, they can grow. This is my, 5th trip in here today, so I'm bringing in more than what you will. So these have to be scoured down, washed off. Your original floor was 6 foot down. There was a stream in here at one point, well before we were here. But if you look up, you notice these two openings? Think of a stream with a whirlpool. It was actually scouring its way, eroding its way up and in there. I'm going to try to get you lost. I'm going to turn off all the lights. I am going to run out of there. I'm not going to let you with any flashlight. And the cave guardian's going to get you out. You see your protector? An eye. Another eye. A forehead. The nose. A really wide mouth. Almost the grin. Even a tongue. You see the face? So the guardian will see everybody going in and going out. I already lost. They'll let you get out of here. Come on, let's go to the next room. Red lights. Warning. Low-hanging rock.
What is this guy?
See, that's the top, the face, that's the two eyes.
I see one that, I don't see their names.
Oh no, they're further down.
Oh. Hey, Dad, that was, hey, that was like that guy's hand. Remember, look at that.
Aiden, stay over here.
Aiden,
Stop
watch.
getting
Stop
dripped
getting
on,
dripped
monkey.
on. It's like, you don't have to-
Watch your head, buddy.
Watch your head. Watch your head.
He needs to get dripped off in the bottle.
Okay.
No, I think he's got
In the
about 100 years of good luck already.
Lilies.
Oh, look at that little tunnel right down here.
Keep coming up, it's kind of small here, so you have to take another step. So
Don't go in there, though.
you guys are good, can't go much further. It won't be here.
Look at that, Tom.
All right, this room is small, you're finding it out, and if you have a group of 30, it's really packed tight. If you got a cold cellar at home, then you know why they use this room, to store things. They thought of it as a cold cellar. Now, the thing is, there's a red light back there on the floor, there's one here. There's an entire cave system underneath you, but it's not open to the public. It's in red because it's close to the walkway. We run our electrical lines down below. To go down to the system below, you gotta petition management, they gotta approve it, so no tours go there. But this room, it's the ceiling. That's the most, to me, it's the most important thing in here, and tells you a lot about the cave. See, it slants back, and it goes to the cave wall, and when you get to the cave wall, you see a crack, a seam, goes all the way through here, and some people were pointing out, you can see the cave wall here, and the ceiling, but there's an opening here. My pointer is actually on the ceiling to this room. This rock at one time was attached up there. It broke free and it fell, and it's leaning on the cave wall. Sounds logical to think that when they set the blast off, of the dynamite for the limestone, that brought it down, but there was something else. We'll see it in the next room what it was. Now, in the 1800s, we would be leaving. Remember, we're exiting the cave this way, and we're coming out. We might be singing, and some brave soul crawled up here, and with a wooden mallet, struck these that some of you were looking at with the side that looked like flowers, but hit these, and it gave off a musical tone. Because you may have just left church. You're singing a hymn or some such song as you're passing their angel. You see it? Now that thing in time, any feature in the cave that I name, their names have changed over time. Now we'll call it a bald eagle, the groups that come in. You see the head, the wings, the body, and the tail. In the 1960s, it was a butterfly. In the early 1900s, it was anatomical, scientific, a pair of lungs. The lungs, the voice box, and the trachea. So things have changed over time. Kind of cool. These things up here should have told the people that came into the cave that this did not fall from the ceiling. They would have broken. See what this is? It's a vertical flow stone. It starts out like here, fills up the cracks, and then it will grow into these leaflets. They'll call it travertine. If you give it enough time, it'll really get long, and now they'll call it drapery, like up there. They'll call that drapery. And if you put rows of iron in it, like up here in the front right, now they'll call it cave bacon. Okay? So, they're intact. That should have told them that something else brought it down. When we get to the next room, I'll show you what that is. Watch your head.
Hey, come on in. Also, I know 10 thing, I'd like to go down.
What is that?
There's a system of caves underneath us.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but we're not allowed in there. They're on the electrical lines through there. I've never been in a cave before. It's pretty awesome.
No, it's not. What's that?
What? Is it?
Oh my god. No. That was good. It looks like a tree upside down.
Okay. Here's what brought, if you look this way, this is the way we're going to go up. This is a big rock ledge, and they put the concrete over it, and the ledge is actually over here. But if you look back it up, this is what fell from the ceiling back there. That rock came under, that boulder up here, and that is a large slab going all the way back. That whole thing broke free from the ceiling. But here is a crack, and it starts here, goes across the ceiling to the other side. You can very clearly see it come back. That is a little spur, a remnant of a fault line. What brought these down? Past earthquakes. That's what brought everything down in the cave. We had earthquakes since I've been here, and we haven't felt a thing in the cave, even though the cave, the earthquakes are felt in Reading and Allentown, Philly, all the way from Virginia to Canada, and we never felt them in the cave, so we're relatively stable. Now, Crystal Cave got its name because we got a crystal wall. See all the bright and shinies? Or some of that calcite, limestone. 6-sided crystals. And when they saw this, I think you can understand why they got excited, because they thought they found diamonds. They thought they struck it rich, to the point they took it to get appraised, and found out it's not a gemstone at all. But to the cave, it is a gem, because the crystal wall lent itself to the name of the cave over time, Crystal Cave. Where you are, up, if we could go through the ceiling, it would take 125 feet from where you're standing to get to the top of the hill. It's 54 degrees here, but it's not the deepest spot in the cave. Beyond that railing it down is a red light. There it drops off an additional 30 feet. It's 51 degrees. And that is Devil's Den. That's where our bats hibernate. It's called a little brown bat. There's a little brown bat, there's a big brown bat. And it's an insect eater. And that little brown bat will come out of here late spring, March, April, up and over those drop rocks, out those vents, and to the outside. Our population is small.